What's going on, Syndicate? I hope you're having a great day today. My name is James Vincent. I'm here with JoeyGhost, Shadow, and Colton, who is a fellow streamer of mine, and we will be talking about several different game topics today. As probably many of you know, Disney is now owned by, Star Wars is now owned by Disney. God damn it.
Disney's now owned by...
This is now owned by Maker Studios.
God fucking damn it.
Maker Studios owns Disney.
Oh.
With a merger of a year.
Great beginning already. Anyway, so Star Wars is now owned by Disney. It was bought by Lucasfilms, and of course, Disney's done a lot so far. They've released the idea of a new Star Wars movie, Episode 7, which I am extremely pumped for. And now they are introducing an update to lovely little Disney Infinity 3.0, which now features Star Wars characters. Now I'm going to go to Shadow real quick on this question because I know he's a Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
and he's good with business. Do you think this addition to their Infinity with the new update adding Star Wars character in there is their final step in sealing Star Wars as being Disney forever?
There was rumor that Disney was actually planning on making a separate actual channel directly associated for Star Wars alone. That was a rumor, but I don't know if it's true or not. There's also a rumor that Disney is going to be making a lot more Star Wars games in general. So I'd say this is the first step, but Disney has basically sealed the fate of Star Wars, and they're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure the series stays alive. And if somebody tries to, purchase the rights to use the Star Wars franchise, maybe for gaming or whatever, it's got to be either EA or LucasArts, if LucasArts is still even a thing, or Ravensoft, because Ravensoft helped make Jedi Academy and those old school Star Wars games. But other than that, I'd say this Infinity thing is just like a step in the right direction. But you're looking at future titles such as Star Wars. There was rumor even that Star Wars Jedi Academy 2 was in development, and I'm not really sure if it's true or not, but it's just a rumor.
Colton, you're a Twitch streamer. I followed you for about a month now. You're a really good streamer. I don't know if you play much of Star Wars, but do you see a more popular growth in these Star Wars games since they're owned by Disney and they're going to be doing more with it, or will you probably see a decline in them?
Well, I love Star Wars. I've loved Star Wars since I was a kid, and I've played as many games out of that series that I possibly could. I don't see the popularity declining at all. I think that Disney's got a good grasp on how to promote topics and different genres of gameplay and movies and all that good stuff. So I'm probably one of the only people in my small group of friends that agrees or that believes that Disney is going to make a good effort in everything that they do involving Star Wars or the Marvel series or anything like that. So I'm very excited for all the new Star Wars games coming out.
Oh, it's going to be very exciting. I'm extremely pumped for December 25th, man. It's going to be my day. Joey, I'm going to go to you on this question. Real quick, I'm going to ask you, Disney is known for throwing characters of their other movies, especially in animated. They'll throw Mickey Mouse into Toy Story. They've thrown Toy Story into Monsters, Inc. Even with J.J. Abrams directing the new Star Wars film and adding the Star Wars Infinity Pack to their game, are we going to see a bigger connection between their poppy, loppy little characters and the exciting, adventurous people of Star Wars?
Well, where to start with that is pretty much with the first TV show that came out on Disney Xfinity. Well, why did I say Disney Xfinity? Sorry, service. All that.
XD.
Oh, yes, Disney XD. That's what I meant to say. So for the TV show that came out on Disney XD, it felt like they just replaced the entire cast with pretty much the Mickey Mouse crew version of of Rebels with it plus a Jedi.
Yeah, I don't know about that because let me just go ahead and interrupt you there. I think Star Wars Rebels is a pretty good. It's an okay series. It's not like Star Wars, the Clone Wars, where I found myself addicted to it. Rebels is kind of the kid version of Star Wars a little bit. It actually does tell a story that really the Clone Wars didn't tell. Secretly, the Rebels actually tells you the story of what happened to Ahsoka Tano, Skywalker's old apprentice that kind of went AWOL when she was basically accused of a lot of treasonous crap, pretty much. But yeah, it's basically trying to tell you the story of what happened. It's not just Disney trying to make a quick buck. They're actually trying to make an actual story, which they're trying to make an effort to make it to where it fits the actual Star Wars saga.
I guess that's where my fear actually really comes in then, because back when Disney had the Aladdin movie and the Hercules movie, there were a lot of serious tones used in both of those movies. But when they became a Disney show on like the early Disney, back when we had gargoyles and all that, we had the weird tone of a lot of fun, but not much seriousness in the action. So it kind of felt awkward for some of us who actually liked the movies for their serious tones. And that's probably the fear that me and probably a few other people actually would have with this new series. Now, I should probably also say for the video games that if they ever come out with any video games, now I hope that it becomes at least something hyped, because I'll be honest here. I have not played many Disney games as far as what would be the Pirates of the Caribbean Online and the that video game version of the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And that was as much of the Disney games that I've actually played, because I found some.
Technically, Kingdom Hearts was also a Disney game, by the way.
Yes. But everything Square Enix has done is actually good.
True, but it's still technically a Disney game. But anyways, continue.
Okay. Everything in the Disney game genre, with the exception of anything made by Square Enix, has been almost nearly ignored in a sense. And that's probably going in the same in the video game industry, unless they actually do something to make them eye-popping. Because
I know what you mean.
Let's face it, with the price of the current consoles and the PC pretty much being the cheapest affordable method, we really would like some PC variation Disney games, which of course we still get because Disney never actually had a specific console to begin with.
Okay, so pretty much, I think you've said your piece. No offense, but I do think you've said your piece.
I'm sorry. I'm getting confusing at this point.
I know you to be a bit rambunctious at times, but I definitely do agree with you. I think in layman's terms, for anyone who's viewing this, basically Joey is afraid of Star Wars losing their seriousness with the gaming and bringing in Disney humor, and I have to agree on that. That's the last thing I want to see with Star Wars games. Let's move on to our next topic, if I can get the screen right. So, Skyrim has grown to be probably one of the most famous, if not popular, console games, which on preferably the Xbox. I don't think it ever expanded to PlayStation 4, but I could be incorrect on that. In about 2000, what would you say, 2012 is when they came out with Elder Scrolls? Just anyone.
It came out when it did come out in 2012 or. Yeah,
the end of the world. So the Elder Scrolls, which is now the pretty much the PC version, they did come out with Skyrim on PC, but the Elder Scrolls Online came out with a more deeper story with Daedric, especially with the invasion of the Daedric princes. I'm gonna go to Colton on this. Pretty much, the Elder Scrolls has expanded the storyline of Skyrim. They've gone from just the province of Skyrim to now Tamriel, which is the central province of the entire universe, or the entire world. Do you see this being a bridge or a future line for them going into other provinces such as Black Marsh or even the Elvish kingdoms?
Well, Elder Scrolls is a very long-lived game franchise. I've played, I think my first Elder Scrolls game was Morrowind back in the day, and it was on the island of Vardenfell or something like that, which is in Elder Scrolls Online. It's basically where the Dark Elves come from. And then Oblivion came out, which was all of the main capital area, which is what the new that's coming out pretty soon comes into play. You know, all the PvP areas in Elder Scrolls Online includes that, and it really excites me with the Elder Scrolls Online being able to go into all these different areas and, you know, places that you've read about in the games or from the lore or what have you, and you can you know, actually go visit these places, visit places that you've only seen in the game via books and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that this leads into, you know, fresh games, single player games or whatever in different areas that have a completely different art style.
I'm gonna go ahead and
But yes, Elder
apologize.
Scrolls Online is, sorry.
Oh, no worries. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize for anyone who's viewing this because my ping rate is going a little high, so I noticed that Colton's words kind of got slurred there. But I think you got the gist of what he said, and I definitely agree with him. Shadow, you are known to me, especially in the beginning of Villain Syndicate, to be a big Skyrim player. What else can you see them doing in the future with shut up with Skyrim as a whole and just the entire idea of this world?
I think after the Witcher 3 came out, the Bethesda basically is going to have to crank it up a notch and try to do basically ultimate RPG game where you basically have much like Skyrim and kind of more like Skyrim though, where you have a character that you can basically do anything you want with. There's a fully active environment, fully interactive environment is what I meant, fully alive environment. The animations and the AI is less dull than it was in Skyrim. Let's just be honest, the AI in Skyrim was a bit dull. There's more things to do. There's not just dragons. There's not just, you know, ice race or these wolves. You can go possibly in the Elder Scrolls might be making a game that combines 2 or more single provinces such as Skyrim, Morrowind, Cyrodiil, you know, all that. Possibly in the future we could see something that goes along the lines of a combination of Elder Scrolls games or ideas, more or less. And maybe it's not just you know, the basic questing system. You maybe have something more advanced now. Your character can do a lot more than just what he could in Skyrim. There's a lot more emphasis on the UI as well, and there's just a lot more to do in future Elder Scrolls games, as I can see. Because remember that Elder Scrolls didn't have a direct link to Elder Scrolls Online. The same team that made Skyrim, as what I meant, Bethesda, did not have an active role in Elder Scrolls Online. They helped out a little bit, but it was a third-party company that actually helped make Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay, that I did not know, but that's very good information. I'm Thank you for bringing that up. Joey, I'm going to go to you on a point that Shadow just made about character expansion, and here's my question with that. You can play as an elf. You can play as pretty much a human. You can play as a swimming lizard. My question to you is, do you think that in the future they may open up a point to where you can begin playing as something that's not of the basic world, that you can play as an like a species from a different world, like one of the Daedric Prince's minions of sorts?
Now, if I got to play as a Daedric Prince's minion, of course I would start playing the game and paying that little fee that I have to start up. I mean, I think was Elder Scrolls Online one of the games that didn't have a monthly fee with it, right?
It did originally, but now it's gone to the unlimited.
Ah, yes. Which I actually love that change because I hate anything that has a monthly purchase.
Cheers to that.
Now, yeah. As for the Imperial City DLC, I would not really know, personally, think about it. And can you repeat the question one more time so I can, well, the question you had for me?
Do you
Because
see?
I think I just, forgot it.
It's okay. My question was, do you see the expansion of different types of races you can play being outside of the concept world, such as one of the Daedric Prince's soldiers, or even a Daedric Prince, him or herself?
Interesting concept.
Yeah, it is an interesting concept, and as I recall in Skyrim, it had about 19 or so, around that number of races. And if I'm wrong, please correct me.
19 races, Joe?
Hey, I'm sorry. How long has it been since I've actually touched Skyrim? And I mean, of course, I go back to it occasionally.
The redcoats are coming. The redcoats
The
are
end
coming.
statement is, but the more races, the better. The diversity of that leads to what making your own adventure is all about. And honestly, it's like everything Destiny, like a game like Destiny wanted to be, but it really couldn't. So in some ways, we don't know why, we don't know how, but the Elder Scrolls as an RPG over time has given us the ability to change race, and it's one of the things that we actually loved about it. If the Imperial City DLC actually gives us more, that's even better. But the main point is, as long as the races are not broken or completely uninteresting, we'll use them. Especially, and by interesting, I mean you can either have them overpowered, something that is completely unique and fun to use, or just have that one little guy who's completely hardcore. Like choosing your class in Dark Souls.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the same concept was used in, or is being used in EVE Online, where you choose one of 4 factions, and then you choose a bloodline, and then there's a whole nother step. Brings extreme diversity. I think there was a big misconception. The Imperial, just for those of you viewing, the Imperial DLC pack is basically an expansion of, I believe what it said was the capital city of Tamriel, or at least one of the major cities. So you're going to find a lot more dungeon types issues. It's really going to remind you of going into, what is the, I'm a complete Skyrim scrub right now. What is the city where you can find the Thieves Guild?
Riften?
Riften, thank you. It's going to really remind you
Yeah.
of going through the sewer areas of Riften, from what I'm told.
Hopefully they add more traps.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of the most, and we're moving on now, one of the most popular gaming series, and I cannot understand how it's popular still to this day, Call of Duty. I am ashamed to call myself a fan only of the older ones, typically because now it's just the same storyline, or at least it's the same concept over and over again. But now they've released the idea for Call of Duty Black Ops 3, which they're going to, from what rumors I've heard, they're going to take the ideas from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and throw them into Black Ops style. Colton, I'm going to go to you first because you're a streamer. I don't know if you've played any of these games before, but do you see as this being the right thing to do by taking a concept from one of your own other games and just throwing it into a new style?
Well, I've only played a few of the Call of Duty games. I really stopped playing them hardcore when Black Ops 1 came out. And I think that the Black Ops series, as far as a storyline, is pretty interesting because they've kept it fairly consistent with the original, like, Modern Warfare characters and everything like that. So, like, each game has been an advance in the storyline. You know, I'm not even going to touch multiplayer because that's just besides the point. But the storyline aspect of it, you know, it went from, you know, we had the World at War game that came out with some of the characters that ended up being in the first Black Ops game, which was around the time of the Cold War and Vietnam. And then you go into, oh, sorry.
And it also gave you the decision to save some of your buddies.
Yeah, absolutely. That storyline-driven game through sequels is interesting to me. As far as just throwing together different features from your other games into one, you know, it sells. That's basically what it is. It sells games, and you know they're gonna make money off of it.
I've always found it. Hold on, Joey. I don't mean to interrupt anything you're saying, but I do find it interesting that people will take, like, the only reason they buy a game is for explosions, that they don't really care about the storyline. I'm not too familiar with all the different storylines. Joey, I'm gonna throw this question at you because so far you actually know Shadow, because Shadow is the writer pretty much. He's a writer as like myself. With the storyline of Call of Duty, do you see, especially with what Colton was saying, how you get to choose to save some of your buddies, do you see this becoming more of something that Mass Effect was?
You're asking me about Call of Duty's writers?
Yeah, I am asking about them because this is an interesting topic to me, and I know you rant about it before.
Let me ask: we're talking about Activision here or Treyarch?
Oh God!
I knew it. I knew you were gonna say that.
Is it Activision or Treyarch? Which one?
I believe it's still Activision. I believe it's still Activision.
Okay, well, I think I'm gonna hang up now then. I'm just kidding. Activision, they used to have okay storylines, and then they just kind of went like what sci-fi's doing nowadays.
Wait. Need to correct you before fanboys put it in the comments. The difference is actually Infinity Ward and Treyarch. Activision is the higher up on the food chain.
Oh, I know. I'm still saying, is it Activision or Treyarch? But I think personally, Infinity Ward, whatever, Infinity Ward and Treyarch. Infinity Ward used to have really good games back when Modern Warfare 2 came out, and Modern Warfare 3 was okay. I mean, it had an okay storyline to it. Modern Warfare 3 and Modern Warfare 2 were kind of the same damn thing. I mean, Modern Warfare... my question is, like, how the hell these Modern Warfare games do you go from having, like, half the country blown to shit to, oh, it's all fine and dandy, like the next damn day? You know, because I mean, I was. If you watch the end of Modern Warfare 3, is what it is. After you basically shoot, or I think you shoot General Shepard is what happens. I'm not really sure. I haven't played it in a long time. Then all of a sudden, like, everything's okay now. We signed an agreement with Russia. Everything's okay now. No, everything's not fucking okay. You just they destroyed half the country. Russia invaded Europe and probably slaughtered half the damn civilization in Europe. I mean, not civilization, half the population of the European Union alone. I mean, realistically, it's not okay. It doesn't make sense, and it really never will make any sense until until Activision, writes better. Treyarch had okay writing. It was okay. I like War at War because War at War actually did make sense. They had good writers for the zombie actual parts too. It was because it took a while, but people actually found out that some of the zombie modes actually did make sense. There was an element called what was the element called? 15 or something.
115.
Yeah, which is actually an element that was used or found in the meteorite that hit North Siberia in like 1911. I'm not really sure what it was, but yeah, it was a good story that they had. It made sense, but then you get Modern Warfare 3 that we just had a nuclear explosion. We just had an EMP blast. We just had half the fucking Europe just got invaded, and probably half the population of England just got eradicated. But everything's okay now. We just shot somebody, and we have a peace treaty with Russia, so everything's okay now. They're like, no, it's not okay. It doesn't make any sense. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You guys get where I'm coming from?
Using the nuke as an EMP.
It's one thing to write good stories. It's another thing to write stories that could make sense, but the way you tell it makes no damn sense at all. It's pretty much what sci-fi does. They make these shitty stories, and then they try to sell them because I need money. Give me money. That's pretty much what Call of Duty has become. Give me money. Give me money. And yeah, you can call me a hater and all that crap. That's lovely. I mean, that's lovely. There's been like how many Call of Duty games is it now? Like Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, 4 were great games. They were okay. They were really good. Then 5 was okay. War at War was great. 6, I guess 6 could be Black Ops. 7 Black Ops 2. 8 3, or no, that'd be Advanced Warfare, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so this would be 9.
That would actually be Ghost.
This would be 9, I'm pretty sure. 9 or 10.
8 would actually be Ghost. 9 would be Warfare. This would be 10. So technically, it's been 10 Call of Duty games so far.
Don't forget the Big Red One. So that's 11.
Oh yeah, that one. So 11 Call of Duty games so far.
Oh,
lovely.
God.
Yeah, this series isn't dying out at all, is it?
Touched a soft spot, didn't we?
Well, I mean...
Oh, yeah, we did.
This is the thing. This is the whole fucking thing. They have Modern Warfare 3, which is in the modern day, which is, that's cool. And they have Black Ops 2, which takes place in futuristic... I think it was like 2024 or something like that. I have no idea what it was. Somewhere along those lines. Then they've got Ghost, which takes place in 2030 or 2036. Then you've got Advanced Warfare, which takes place way beyond those years. I don't know how long it is. Then you've got this Call of Duty 3, which I don't get it. I don't get it. Call of Duty 3 is basically the replica of Call of Duty fucking 2 and Ghost and Advanced Warfare combined. It's basically selling a skin like Battlefield 4 and saying it's a different game but adding different aspects to it. It's the same damn game, but you're adding difference to it, so it's different now.
Well, I'm gonna.
You guys agree, right?
I know where you're coming from with that. Honestly, I do. That's why I only played Black Ops series at this point for the zombie storyline, because let's be honest, that was actually original right there.
Right, the zombie was pretty original. The actual original story was great.
Yeah, and the fact, like Richtofen, one of the 4 heroes, becoming the main villain, which of course was already foreseeable.
Because he's German.
Spoilers.
I am sorry, but if you've actually been following that zombie series, it has been a killer run. The puzzles are amazing. You still get to shoot the shit out of things. Of course, there's always the one squeaker or what complainer, but you still have fun in the end. But this is why I can only say for the Black Ops series. In fact, one thing that I actually liked about Black Ops 2, is that despite the fact that we had $15 maps, jeez.
Pricey, eh?
Oh yeah. I feel like I'm buying like 1/5 of a game. It's not standalone or anything. It's just pretty much, hey, you want to buy a used game? Shove that money over here.
Give me money.
Okay, we get your point.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Activision and basically it's Activision's greedy.
It is Activision.
Well, yeah.
The heart comes from like people who actually put their heart in the game, which in this case would be Treyarch. Because even in Black Ops 2, they made the campaign actually a bit more fun.
Mhm.
And if you actually had to complete certain challenges, you were able to unlock certain weapons that you could carry with you campaign on a replay, which I actually like to do in a game called Battlefield Bad Company 2, because you were able to choose what weapons you wanted to have in your loadout when you went into that said area, and you could go like, would you like to bring this silenced sniper rifle and this silenced SMG, or would you like to bring in the 6-barrel grenade launcher and the bazooka? It was obvious which one I could pick, but the fact that I had the option to choose my starting loadout for said mission, that was a feature I actually welcomed in Black Ops 2, and I hope I get to see it again in Black Ops 3, as well as a new way of showing the zombie storyline if they can continue with one, because one of the things they also did interesting with Black Ops 2 was they had an entire separate zombie storyline and Mob of the Dead. Haven't you played that?
No.
I mean, we
If
could
you-
talk about Treyarch and Activision all day, but I think we're
I know.
I think we
just
beat
wanted
this
to say-
topic to a ground. I
Right.
think we did. And Joey, you actually read my
Well-
mind because I was going to ask you about the zombie campaigns and how you thought those were going to link. So thank you for being telekinetic right there. But I think
Thank
we've beaten this topic to a pulp, and we're going to move on.
Okay. So next on is Ink, right?
No, I removed that actually. Spoiler alert. For those of you who don't know, I will say this. For those of you who don't know what Ink is, look it up. Look at Markiplier. Look at Achievement Hunter. You need to watch it to understand it. It's completely unexplainable. One of our, I'm a Total War fanboy. I know Shadow plays Total War. I don't know about Joey, and I don't know about Colton, but I am a Total War fanboy. And one of the games that has completely excited me since probably Shogun Fall of the Samurai is Total War Warhammer. Now, I know nothing about the Total War universe, but I do know, because I've seen the beta films now, you can go to the Total War channel to watch that this game is going to be completely epic. Now, I'm going to shoot over to Joey real quick because he's sounding like the short campaign story guy here. One of the ideas that has been introduced into, which is rumored to be introduced into Total War Warhammer, is the idea of bringing the smaller nations, which you are not really able to play in the other Total War games, bringing the smaller nations to become basically one of the strongest AIs that they will ever bring into a Total War game. Is this going to make it more playable for players, or do you think this is going to dwindle the idea?
Well, it depends on how well they structure the data of the AI, as well, because we've known that certain Total War games in the past that we do not speak of have known for their horrible AI. And it's hard to construct AI for a giant RTS-like army, because when you really look at a lot of things that have come from AI with lots and lots of people, it can go very wrong, which is why sometimes people would actually make a grouped AI thing with little animations. A little silly for me to say it like this, but the more AI you're going to put it into an RTS, the harder it is to actually control. And based on what you said, I'm thinking that this will actually mean that they are going to have more strategies implemented to the set AI of the armies, so they're able to respond better to your movements than they have in the past.
Yeah, that makes sense. I recently got Medieval Total War 2, or Medieval 2 Total War, and I made the mistake of playing Russia because one of the factions you come in contact easily is Mongols. Shadow, I'm going to talk to you here for a second. One of the factions in Total War Warhammer is known as the Greenskins, which are basically the orcs. And one of the biggest fears within the entire Warhammer universe is that they constantly invade, they constantly want war. So, in my experience, the Mongol AI back in Medieval 2 was probably the hardest AI to fight, and I hated that. So this is almost another player desire question for you. Is if they decide to use the same Mongol AI in the Greenskins, will this make the game more popular, or is this going to dwindle in player time and such?
You gotta consider that the greenskins and the
Skrins.
and chaos are the main enemies in this game. So I doubt that they're really gonna be like the Mongol horde where they just show up randomly in the game. I'm pretty sure that it's an actual campaign, faction really. Yeah, they might have the ability to make hordes like the Attila game gave the ability to, create tribes, hordes, etc. But I really doubt that it's going to be like it was in Medieval 2, where they'd show up at random times with like huge armies to raid down hell upon your units.
Oh, and let's not forget to mention, historical info about tactics of the Mongols is that one of the most common tactics was just attacking, retreating, and attacking again.
Right.
So if
True, but then
they did
again,
that in the previous game,
this is not. Creative Assembly's already said straight up that this is not going to be like any Code of War game ever before. The AI is completely different. It's changed completely. Like it's basically been completely ratified, almost not ratified, but basically remodeled, and it's no longer following the traditional AI of Total War. The AI itself is going to surprise you because it's not going to be like normal AI. And Total War games are used to having turn-based AI to where it will respond to certain things. This is going to be different. This is going to have AI that responds to not just certain things, but certain events as well. Because this is Warhammer. This isn't, historical Total War where certain things might lead to certain other things. I mean, the possibilities are nearly endless with Warhammer because Warhammer is a fantasy realm. There's really nothing you can't do in this game.
Okay.
Well, programming-wise, I mean.
And that makes a lot of sense, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize because whenever there seems to be a stumble, it happens only when you're talking, but I can tell you that we're getting the gist of what you're saying, so don't worry, you're not being forgotten. Now, Colton, I know you've been a little quiet in the background, and I'm going to go ahead and throw this curveball at you because I think this is going to be a tough question to answer. The fact that a historically based gaming networks such as Total War, bringing in actual historical content, combining that with the idea of a magic fantasy land. How is that going to work? Do you think it's possible? And how do you think that they can make it easier for players like myself who are more used to actual real life events?
Well, yeah, like you said, the Total War franchise has always been really good at keeping things true to life, actual historical content. And Warhammer, the series, is such a well-loved um, universe that there's so many people playing this game and have been playing it for so long. There's so much content that they would have to go through and learn about in order to implement the actual, I guess, realistic in the terms of fantasy realm actions of each faction and whatnot. And I think that they could do it. I think that they've already proven that they can do stuff like that. It's a lot of work, but I think it should be a pretty good game because, the Warhammer is ideally suited for an RTS style. And I think the faction systems of Total War and all the gameplay utilities of that series can bring a whole new breath of life to that genre and that universe.
Okay, and I have to say I agree with you on that. Once again, if you're not really aware of what Warhammer or what Total War is currently doing, please go to their channel. They've just released beta footage of perhaps one of the most critical battles in the Warhammer universe between the Empire and the Greenskins. I believe it's called the Bladder. It's called the Bladder, folks. The Battle of Blackwater Pass. Perhaps probably the most largest battle in the Warhammer universe. I'm not too sure of that. But it is great footage, and I am looking forward to what they're doing later on. One of the last topics we're going to get to tonight, and I'm going to throw it over to Shadow here because he's the mind, in my opinion. He is the brain behind this entire project. Well, okay, you're the producer, but either way, you probably know more about it than any of us, and maybe a little more than Joey. So this game is called Sweet Delusion. It's actually being created by the Villain Syndicate, and Shadow, I'm going to let you go off and explain what it is.
Well, first of all, it's not being created by the Villain Syndicate. It's being created by a subdivision of the Villain Syndicate called Syndicate Productions. And basically what it is a first-person, next-gen horror game using Unreal Engine 4. We are basically playing homage to the old-school games of Amnesia, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, and Penumbra series. Basically, the game is going to be a psychological survival horror game that puts basically the fear back into the player. Where new games like Five Nights at Freddy's have done so, where it's a prize horror, we kind of wanted to make it to where we brought back traditional horror and, well, more or less improved it.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Colton on this because right now he is currently in this little group, he is the expert player right now since he's a streamer. And that's a compliment, but I'll probably take it away later on your stream. Would you say that in the past few, maybe the past few years, that the fear of playing horror games from the player side has dwindled?
Absolutely. Horror games just haven't really gripped too many people lately. There's been a recent insurgence of horror games and whatnot with a lot of free to play indie developers are coming out with all sorts of cool ideas, and I've played a few of them. I haven't really spent too much in the horror genre simply because, you know, it just doesn't scare me anymore. And a lot of it is due to the fact that, you know, most people or most developers use jump scare tactics in games nowadays, and you know, they just kind of rely on that adrenaline pumping moment of, oh my god, something's after me, as opposed to building it up and making it suspenseful and scaring the player or the viewer by, you know, just messing with their brain constantly.
That's probably a tactic that, Five Nights at Freddy's has used and overused in their past 4 games. I absolutely love the series. I haven't played it myself, would absolutely love to. Um, Joey, going to you on this question. The idea of horror in my mind has, like I said, and Colton probably agrees, has dwindled, and so has, in my opinion, the story of horror. What exactly are you guys planning to do? And you don't have to tell me the whole storyline, but what exactly do you plan to do differently with Sweet Delusion that other horror games have not recently?
It's instead of doing like the jump scare tactic, you're gonna of course see the monsters, but they won't see you right away. And pretty much that if they try to like jump in front of your screen, it's not gonna happen in this game. I made sure of that.
You mean just take over for
But
now?
basically-
Like I could basically explore for you too.
Well, I just wanted to like get around to like what I can promise so far.
All right.
Basically, when you see the demon chasing you in the game, he's going to either have a good day or a bad day. But the fact that he sees you, he's still going to come after you. Once he captures you, it's going to show him trying to grab for you, him or her. But
I think
this is known as a suspense horror feel in this way, because you know you're being chased. You know that they actually have the chance of coming up to you, but you also have the chance of getting away. Something that's very different from a jump scare. The fear that they're going to catch you. It's a similar fear that you've actually probably felt in Penumbra, Amnesia, or Outlast. Because just seeing their face makes you, holy crap, get your cooties away from me. I'm not your little piggy. And we want to keep that vibe in this game. We don't want them to just jump at you. We want them to make sure that they have their presence known.
you mentioned earlier on that you wanted to know what makes our game different, correct?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
You mentioned earlier on you wanted to know what makes our game different from regular horror games such as Five Nights at Freddy's or
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
basic games you see on Steam Greenlight. Well, for one, most of the Steam Greenlight games aren't Unreal Engine 4. They're mostly Unity Engine and sometimes even, stock Unity stuff, which that's not really a game, but yeah. Basically, for our game, like Joey said, let me just go into details more about it. Our game is not going to have many, because it is going to have some surprise horror and jump scares, but it's not just a jump scare. It's a jump scare, but it's a follow-up sort of. Basically, if a demon spots you or one of the 3 demons, there's going to be other poltergeist in the actual game once it's finished. But the 3 main demons, Batty, Feed, and Timmy, if they spot you, then they're gonna react to you, and it's gonna jump scare you, but it's not gonna end there. Once they give you a spook, whatever, that's all fine and dandy, but it doesn't end there. They'll basically start chasing you, trying to maliciously, kill you. I guess you could say each demon has a different way of killing you. Batty has razor sharp claws. You will basically be using a camera monitor system, but unlike Five Nights at Freddy's, you're not confined to a single room or a section of single rooms. You're able to freely move about the actual house or the mansion. Myers Mansion is the actual location of the game taking place. The idea that we took from Five Nights at Freddy's was the camera monitor system, basically able to watch cameras while on the move. And to make an advancement, or to make I guess you could say a upgraded version of this, we had the idea, and we're going to make this idea become a reality, of making it to where when you look at the camera monitors, the demons, if you do happen to spot them in the camera, won't just be standing still, they'll be doing animations. For a baddie, for example, we've got the idea of baddie will be clawing on the walls. She'll basically be scratching the walls. You'll hear her crying, moaning, and in some cases, a rare event may occur where she will literally pause for a second, turn around and look at the camera, and she'll jump scare you with the camera, but it doesn't end there. Like I said before, this game is not going to be easy for any player. The game's basically going to be a pulse-pounding survival horror game where once she sees you looking at her through the camera, she'll start to chase you. Literally, she'll find out where you are directly from the camera itself. It's a very difficult concept, but we're in the process of making it.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop you there.
And the idea of this...
I'm going to stop you because the last thing I want you to do is spill any more secrets, because you want to surprise your viewers.
Yes, right.
So
sorry about that.
It's okay. I wanted to get you to a point because I thought that you should explain at least the basic concept of what you're going to be facing as the player.
Right.
So, so we're going to finish this episode, and the way I'm going to finish it is I'm going to ask you all I'm going to go starting with Colton. I'm going to ask you guys, how do you see the rest of this year going with video games? Like, what concepts do you see coming out? Anything new, or are we going to see a repeat of the last decade? So, Colton, starting with you on that one.
Well, other than at least knowing that one game's going to turn out to be quite the puzzle. But
I did say Colton, but that's okay.
Oh wait, Colton? Oh. Sorry, my ego got ahead of me.
Happens to me all the time.
But Joey, since you've started, I mean, might as well finish your thought.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Colton. I actually lost my train of thought. Whoops.
God dang it.
I actually think that we're quite overdue for having a bunch of good games coming out. And I'm still questioning whether or not to buy Black Ops 3. Because Activision being Activision, I can only spend so much money.
Okay, we'll go to Colton on that one next.
Go to Colton.
All right. I don't know. This year seems like it's going to have some exciting things. I'm pretty much looking forward to only a handful of games right now: XCOM 2, Fallout 4, all that good stuff. But a lot of it's starting to seem like people are biting off more than they can chew. Like high-end developers are creating games that aren't quite finished, and they are, working on them still constantly. But the games that you bought, in the last year or two, they're starting to finish up large pockets of unexplored or unfinished content, and then they're re-releasing the game as a price point. Case in point, the Elite Dangerous game came out a year ago or so, and it was, $50 game, $60 game. And this year they announced that they are going to be releasing a huge update, which is going to cost another, $40 or $50. Now, if you bought the game already, you get a 25% discount and stuff like that. But still, you bought a unfinished game with the promise of content being released. And not saying that they haven't released content, but I've seen that happen a couple times with major video games, and that's upsetting. But from like the indie developers and the smaller end gaming developers, you're seeing a resurgence in activity on updates and stuff like that. Games like Rust or H1Z1 or DayZ even, they're starting to work harder and more consistently on major updates, major game-changing updates. I'll just keep saying that word over and over again. But that's exciting to me, because if the game's not finished and the game is being worked on and content's constantly being put out, you have something to look forward to. As far as other games, yeah, I'm pretty excited for this year. I don't have as many doubts as I did last year or the year before that with how gaming's going.
Okay, in addition to the list you were saying, Unturned is definitely a game that people need to look out on. I know Shadow hates that game, however, it is looking to be very good recently, and I wish the best of luck to Nelson
It's
Sexton.
just a Roblox mod.
It's a Unit Z asset, pretty much, is what it is.
No. They directly took the Roblox.
We're not
the
gonna talk about
Roblox
this.
engine.
We're not gonna talk
You
about
brought it up,
this.
man.
I'm just
I
saying.
know. I was adding it to the freaking list. Now, Shadow, answer the question.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm gonna go ahead and promote a game that I personally want you all to buy if you guys are into horror. The developers of Amnesia and Silent Hill have created a new game called Soma. It's a game that's coming out, I believe, in September 22nd, 2015. Its developer is Frictional Games, which is the company who helped make Amnesia and Silent Hill. Well, they're deprived from that company. And yeah, it's if you were looking for a game that doesn't have jump scares in it, this is one of them. I've seen the actual trailer for it. It actually shows the build-up that you were looking for. We'll post a link in the description for Soma, by the way. But yeah, for games in general, it depends on what you're talking about. Steam Greenlight, they've had a series of copycats this year. They've had a series of digital homicide messes, is all I could say, pretty much. And a series of unfortunate events is what I could say for Steam Greenlight. But there's been some fortunate events for other games, such as AAA developers. Konami, let's talk about Konami for a second. Konami has tried to remake Castlevania into this weird... they basically tried to make a hentai version of Castlevania, which is odd. But yeah, they also pulled PT, and PT was remade for, I think it was called Unity. I forget what the hell it's called. UT. I think it's called UT.
Punity.
Yeah, Punity.
Punity.
Basically. But yeah, regarding Call of Duty 3, I wouldn't get it until reviews come out from professional reviewers. Other games such as Disney Xfinity with the Star Wars ideas. Disney is a company that they can do right, but they can also do wrong. They haven't really proved that they can do wrong yet. I mean, they've had some mishaps, but so have a lot of companies. It's not that big of a deal. I'm still looking forward to some of the games they come out with. I hope it's not kid-rated if it's a Star Wars game, because usually Star Wars games are not really rated for kids in the first place. But yeah, 2015, it's looking okay for gaming. It's not the best year, I could say. I mean, it's okay for this year. There's been quite a few games that have dropped this year. One of them is Rocket League, which has been pretty popular. The other one would probably be Dying Light. Actually got released 2015, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Dying Light was a really good game. It's the predecessor, correct me if I'm wrong, predecessor to Dead Rising. I mean, not Dead Island Riptide, not Dead Rising. What am I saying? But yeah, there's been some pretty good games that come out this year.
All right, well, I definitely agree with all your different opinions. We've had a rickety-rockety 2015 when it comes to games. Like you said, Rocket League has pretty much taken over both YouTube and Steam gameplay so far. Definitely, there's a lot more to look at. I mean, we've got bunch of different games coming out in next month. The weeks after that, a bunch of different updates, and nothing ever stops. So you never know when you'll have an original idea. Well, thank you, everybody. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. This has also been the year of some very awkward games, including these Sakura games, which I keep seeing on Steam. And do you guys know what these games are? It's pretty much Japanese hentai. That's pretty much what it is.
Oh, the visual novel, like insurgence of, you know, all that Japanese stuff. Yeah.
Sakura X Clicker, Sakura, etc., etc.
Okay, I just have to say this here and now. If it's a visual novel where you can't make a choice, that's even less of a game than a book which has the ending thing where you flip to a certain page for that ending.
That is
Christmas. What did I get myself into?
What's next? Selling movies on Steam? Netflix on Steam.
Well,
Hey, wait
to
a
be honest
second.
with you, somebody actually did try to sell an app on Steam one time, and they called it Vic Me.
You could download like the what was it? The video. It was like a demo video of something. It was like a trailer you could download on Steam. It was ridiculous.
For a while, Valve had something where you could actually download that, where it says something about a game or something like that. I don't know. It was really weird the way Valve's they would.
It was a documentary on Valve's little Dota 2
That's
tournament.
it. That was
Yeah,
it.
like I give a shit about your tournaments, Valve. I don't care. I'm not.
And the fact that someone actually said, "Hey, I'm going to walk out of this house. I'm going to spend the last of my money to do the biggest gamble that the same other 1,000 something people are going to do in this tournament, just to say I'm going to win $1 million."
And good luck, kid.
It's definitely a gamble, and you know, people will do that. It's part of gaming culture. Well, we're gonna wrap that up there. Thank you everybody for watching. Be sure to leave a like and comment next time of what we should talk about. I mean, definitely there's a lot of different games ideas. One of us mentioned Ink, which we were gonna talk about, but I decided to get rid of that. Be sure to subscribe, and other than that, I hope you have a good rest of the day. See ya.
See ya!